Hey guys, what is up? My name is Nathan, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Detail tab to sharpen and reduce the noise in your images. Alright, so starting off, if you see down here below split toning, you'll have the Detail tab. If you open that up, you'll see that you have a window that allows you to peek around in your image, and a tool right here that allows you to adjust the place that you want to peek at. So you just mouse over the place that you want to look closer at. Let's say right at the edge of this building here, and then you click, and then right there, that's where the panel lies. You can also click and drag to move it around, and this just allows you to peek and see the noise and the sharpening that you're doing just a little bit better. Alright, and then down here in the sharpening tabs, you'll see that you have 4 different sliders, and one is for the amount, and this one is what you'll mostly use. This just increases the amount of sharpening that occurs to the image. You can either see right in here in this window that it is really sharpening, or if you zoom way in, you'll see that the image just becomes incredibly noisy. And it started out pretty noisy to begin with, but when you increase the sharpening, it increases the sharpness of the edges, but it also introduces a lot of noise. So for this image, I'm just going to show you how to treat all this noise. It is all over the place, as you can see. Crazy noise. I shot this at ISO 2500, and then I also adjusted the exposure up here, so the noise is quite prevalent. Alright, so after the amount slider, you have the radius slider, which to demonstrate, I'm just going to show you with amount all the way up. Radius increases or decreases like the size of the sharpening. So if you go way to the right, you can see that it becomes very blocky and kind of creates a really horrible texture. I've never gone in a very large radius for any of my photos. I actually rarely touch this tool, but as you can see, if you go to the left, it becomes very fine and grainy almost. So I just reset that to 1, and that's where it usually is. And detail, to the left decreases the amount of detail that you're trying to sharpen, and to the right really increases it. So as you can see, tons of noise now, but it's trying to sharpen everything that it sees. So that's that. And then the masking tool is something you really should use no matter what type of sharpening you're doing. If you hold Alt and click and drag on the masking tool, you'll see that a white screen appears, and when it's all white, that means everything is being sharpened. But you can mask out the parts you don't want to be sharpened, like usually a sky or places that don't really have much detail. So as you can see, as I drag this way, everything in black is not being sharpened, while everything in white is being sharpened. So if I go way to the right, only the hardest edges that it can find in the image are being sharpened. But I think I like it right about there at 67. This just makes it so that the sky isn't being sharpened because there's no detail there that needs to be sharpened in the first place. And places like down here on the side of this isn't really being sharpened because I don't need that sharp. As you can see, there's not really much detail there in the first place. Like edges, for sure, but not on like a flat panel. But as you can see, I masked that, and with the amount way up, you can even see where the sharpening occurs. As you can see, as it loads, there's 2 different types of noise that you can see. This is right here. This is the natural noise that the image had after I edited it. And then right here, if I can get closer maybe, I'll go 3 to 1. Alright, as you can see, right here, this noise is very different than how this noise is. And you can see that this is an edge that it masked and sharpened. So you can see what's white is being sharpened and what's black isn't, and that means this whole thing is being sharpened, and you can just tell where it's affecting. Now this amount is quite extreme, and I never ever go this high, but usually I'll bring it up around 65 or so for images like this, depending on how much they need. As you can see, it doesn't really matter this much with an image. It's so far out, and it's more of a panorama shot, so you're not going to be pixel peeping quite as much as I am right now. But sharpening always does help. Alright, moving on to noise reduction, you'll see down here that you have a luminance slider. Now this is the main tool you'll be using. And what this tool does is, let's see, if I go into a really noisy spot, you'll see what it does. If I drag this way up, this does get rid of the noise. If it loads, alright. So you see, no noise now, well almost. But the whole image becomes extremely glossy. It looks like a painting more than a photo. And as you can see down here, you know, it all becomes like a horrible wash of just color. There's no detail at all left when you go way to the right. And it just smooths everything out. And that's all that tool does. It just smooths the pixels and gets rid of the noise that it sees. So this is off, and then you can see back down here again, the noise is back. And the hard part about this tool is finding a happy medium, because when you want to keep a lot of your detail, you don't want to use this tool too much. It is helpful, but I don't like how it applies it to everything. I wish you could also mask the noise reduction. Anyway, typically I don't go very far with this tool, especially if there's a lot of skin tones. With an image like this that's a landscape, it's fine to use this tool a bit more, but if you have a skin tone, like if you did a portrait, I would never use this tool anywhere past like 12 or 15 or so, because it just becomes very plasticky, and it's not really the best look. But I think right here looks alright. There's no way I'm going to get all the noise out of this image, but I can definitely treat some of it. Alright, and then down here with the detail, it's the same exact thing as the sharpening. It is how much detail you want to try to resolve after you've done the noise reduction. It is kind of a way to mask, but it doesn't really work as well. So I usually just leave that on default. Contrast, it just detects contrast between the edges that it is affecting, and then it sees if it can mask that out. But there's really no good way to affect a different area or just limit it to one area. So that's the noise reduction. And then down here you'll see that there's the color tab, color, detail, and smoothness sliders. And when you adjust this up, this gets rid of color noise. So a lot of times you'll see this sometimes in skies. Let's see up here if it loads. No, not really. When there's a bright light, or maybe a dark hint of color, like in shadows, this slider just takes out all the noise. As you can see right here, there's a bit of color noise that it detects on the edge of this color ray, or whatever this is, and as you just slide it to the right, it just smooths it out, takes the color noise out. It's a helpful tool. It's not a very noticeable adjustment, but I just find it helps. There's never really adverse effect to this unless the entire image is color noise, but then you just kind of treat it the same way as the luminous slider and be sparing with it. And then the detail and smoothness pretty much acts the same way as the other tools. Smoothness just affects how smooth it does smooth out the color noise, so it's just kind of a minor effect. These I don't really do too much with past sliding it way to the right. So as you can see now, this image is quite a bit cleaner than how it started. If it would load, I guess it's like 3 panoramic images here, so it's got a lot of detail to load. As you can see, as I turn on and off the detail tab, all this noise that we used to have is treated. It's more manageable now, but it's certainly not noise free. But we didn't lose too much detail, and I think it's a pretty good effect. I would recommend using it on most of my images, and yours too. Just be careful with going too far with sharpening, and then always mask. Be careful with the luminance slider, and just really don't go too far with that, or else you get really plasticky looking images. Well, that's everything for today. I hope you learned something about the detail sliders and how you can sharpen and denoise your images. Thanks for watching.